taking a little time in Mother Nature with my dog. Little 4 paws. Yeah. He's a good boy. So you guys, oh man, it's not over. But last night was the most intense experience of a negative kind that I've ever experienced. And it's kind of got me a little bit down. But, I just wanted to make a quick video about just for my Catholic brethren out there. So, because this might upset Protestants and non-denominational Catholics. But, we cannot be the cafeteria Catholics that pick and choose what they want to believe. I had a good friend in Los Angeles he was my best friend for over 25 years, and he was an atheist. But he's really very sure of himself, and so we only had a few conversations on the topic because he's just very sure of himself. He's not going to be convinced otherwise, so it's kind of just a waste of time. Don't cast your pearls before swine. But his wife was a Catholic and was kind of one of those Catholics that would go to Mass sometimes on Sunday. But she is a Democrat and she supports abortion. You cannot be a Catholic and support abortion. Also, to address her habits, you cannot be a Catholic and go to Mass once a month, sometimes twice a month, because you are not in a state of grace. And so you cannot receive communion. And if you were to die, different rules. Jesus judges us differently according to what belief system we subscribe to. So if you're just a Christian and you miss your church service on Sunday, it's not a mortal sin. But if you're a Catholic and you miss your church service on Sunday, it's a mortal sin. And if you were to die, you are not in a state of grace, which means you can't go to heaven in our belief system. And I've had certain religious experiences that have proven to me that you have to take the whole piece of pie. You can't just cut off a little sliver for yourself or take this and leave that. You've got to believe the whole thing. Eucharistic miracles. First one happened in 8th century. And there's been 130 that have been approved by the Catholic Church. That's a lot. If the Catholic Church approves it, you pretty much have to believe it. There's been Marian apparitions that has been approved by the Catholic Church. And so you kind of really have to believe that. Stigmata, Padre Pio, St. Francis, several others. There's been at least 3 people I know of that have existed of nothing but the Eucharist. One little tiny wafer every day for in between 36 years and 50 years of their life. Nothing but one little thin piece of bread every day. Nothing else. No fruit, no vegetables, no protein at all. How is that actually able to happen? But that's not so much of the Catholic dogma that we have to believe. The catechism. The catechism is really a beautiful piece of work, and I myself am neglectful in how often I read it. But whenever I do read it, you have to read it really, really slow. It's kind of hard to take it all in. but it's beautiful. It was clearly inspired by the Holy Spirit, just like the Bible. So, you've got to try to go to confession at least once a month. I think the Catholic Church says at least once a year, but that's if you're not having any mortal sins, obviously. But, I just want to kind of throw that out there for these Catholics, that these are really, really fun things to research. Like, for instance, the Eucharistic miracles. There's all different kinds where people have seen the image of the baby Jesus, or one where it was floating, a lot of different kinds. But most of them, they find myocardium in the Eucharist. Like, for some reason, let's say the Eucharist drops on the floor and they have to take it back and put it in the vestibule and leave it there until after Mass. And it ends up growing. It either just gets some blood, or it gets myocardium, which is flesh from a human heart. And they've sent it off to labs in the modern era. They've sent it off to labs with scientists that have investigated. And it always has several things in common. It's always got type AB blood. It's got flesh from a human heart. That flesh from a human heart is traumatized. It's gone through trauma, and it's living. So, that's just too many coincidences to have for it not to be a sign from above that the Eucharist really does go through what the Catholics call transubstantiation, which means that, it still has the physical components of bread and wine, but it also has the real body and blood of Christ within it. And you have to believe that. And it's sad, but, polls indicate that only something like 60% of Catholics actually believe that. And even among the Catholic priests, there's only maybe 80% that believe it. But even if you're a priest that doesn't believe it, the Catholic Church says it doesn't matter if the priest believes it or not. Or even if the priest is a terrible priest and is not in a state of grace when he says the Mass. No matter what, there's an official name for this, that God works through him no matter if he believes it, if he's in a state of grace or not. The good Lord is still working through him so that all the people can experience a Eucharist that has gone through transubstantiation and has the actual real body and blood of Christ. So, I was just listening to Chad Ripperger, and I agree with him 100%. It's just upsetting to just see lay people be able to just hand out the Eucharist and, treat it like it's just a wafer of bread. And, it's really a shame that, Vatican II, we don't go by the old rite. The priest he turns his back towards God behind him, and he faces the audience instead. And just so many things that are lacking in reverence. So I'm finally recovering, but I'm not going to sleep at home tonight. I mean, I can't even begin to emphasize how much of a scary, crazy experience I went through last night. I don't know if you saw my other video. I don't even feel like explaining it again. But it was extremely intense, and I almost kind of felt let down by God. But then, I was kind of bummed out and sleepy all day. I only got 3 hours sleep. But then, came full circle to realize that, it's a blessing. Because this is going to do wonders for my faith in the long run. This attack I went through was intense. So I'm just gonna I'm up here at the church in the parking lot. I'm gonna sleep in my car up by the church. I'm gonna spend as much time as possible in the adoration room, the little chapel with the host, the Eucharist, and just do a lot of reading today, a lot of praying, and just prepare for the night. And then I'm gonna say those renunciation prayers again tonight. I'm gonna start saying them every night. As I'm saying this, my leg is starting to act up again. It's with me all the time, you guys, listening to everything I say. I run something out to my car and leave my dog in the apartment, and then when I come back, he's all cowering and shaking, hiding in the bathroom. He's acting all weird last 24 hours. So any prayers would be appreciated. I gotta win this. I gotta get rid of this thing. It's been around for years and I'm sick and tired of it. I'm not just trying to make drama for content. This is the real deal. God bless. Have a good evening. Thanks for watching.